Cystic fibrosis is an unpreventable, incurable disease, but luckily not unmanageable. Today we're going to find out how the lifespan of someone living with this condition can be increased through early detection.
There is currently no conclusive database of cystic fibrosis patients in South Africa. However, information indicates that there are approximately 700 people with cystic fibrosis in South Africa presently.
What's it been like living with the condition?
In my scenario, when you find out that you've got this condition, it's a bit of a wake-up call, to say the very least. Because, for example, here I was in Cape Town hoping to go to university to become a doctor, and the dean of the faculty says, well, you know, you've got a good job. It would be a good idea for you to stay with that job because you're not likely to live long enough to graduate. You're wrestling with the idea that you're not sick, that badly sick. But then when you get sick, you're mercilessly sick, and what basically happens is your life sort of like slowly seeps away from you.
There is no cure for CF, and most individuals with cystic fibrosis die young. However, with continuous introductions of many new treatments, the life expectancy is increasing to ages as high as 40 or 50.
Cystic fibrosis is one of the most common hereditary disorders. It primarily affects the respiratory tract and the digestive system. So people affected with cystic fibrosis suffer from recurrent chest infections, digestive problems, which result in them, especially children, not growing well and remaining thin. The end result is that the lungs get irreversibly damaged and it leads to difficulty with breathing. So some of the common signs and symptoms in children are inability to gain weight. They often have a lot of digestive problems and may go to the toilet very frequently in the day. But the most common symptom is frequent chest infections, a bad cough that doesn't go away. Early detection of cystic fibrosis is critical because the sooner you detect it, the sooner you can prevent complications from developing. And that's why awareness of the condition is so important.
Fortunately, there are resources for individuals with cystic fibrosis. The South African Cystic Fibrosis Association is central in assisting the community of patients.
Tell me a little bit about your involvement with the South African Cystic Fibrosis Association.
My involvement with SACFA started in my early 20s as I was starting to search for people to help. So I get to these meetings, and it's rather peculiar because I'm in my mid-20s with cystic fibrosis, and everybody else is there is a parent of a child with cystic fibrosis. And when they become aware of the fact that here's a person that I hope my child lives long enough to be like, your role changes. They're actually asking you for advice. Instead of going to the association to look for help, it's crazy, I went there to give help. And by being in a situation where you have to give help and to teach and to be an example, it basically tells you, well, you have to raise your game, buddy.
Transplantation remains the best option for prolonging life for many patients with CF. In South Africa, there is a dedicated transplant team based in Johannesburg, Gauteng.
You've had a bilateral lung transplant. Since receiving the transplant, has there been a difference in your condition?
There's a huge difference. When you are living with cystic fibrosis, you are slowly dying. No matter how brave you are, how strong you are mentally, your lung function backs off. So in my scenario, which is a good luck scenario, I went up to Johannesburg for a transplant evaluation and I passed, and fortunately the chap that was supposed to get the lungs that I got a bit of a fright and said, no, I'm not ready for this. So I was second on the list, and they phoned me and I said, yeah, pick me, I'm in. I wake up in the ICU. My doctor says to me, Peter, you are fighting the respirator, I'm going to take you off it. And you think, okay, cool, that's be interesting. And then a second later, he extubates you. Have you ever been working hard in a garden on a weekend, sweating like crazy, and then you get a cold beverage, and that cold beverage goes down your throat, and it's like heaven? That's exactly what it's like to have your first breath of air into somebody else's lungs. Absolutely amazing. And it just gets better.
What advice do you have for others out there that have been diagnosed and currently living with cystic fibrosis?
Get into sports. get into music, blow instruments, stuff like that make the lungs work, and ride horses, that kind of stuff, and eat as much fat, animal saturated fat, as you possibly can. That is the way to stay alive with cystic fibrosis.
Although cystic fibrosis does have a significant impact on your physical health, there's little reason why someone with CF can't live a good quality life with support from others.
If you've been diagnosed with cystic fibrosis or you are caring for someone with the condition, rest assured there is help out there, and don't hesitate to make contact with the South African Cystic Fibrosis Association. They're eager to lend you their support.